Hello and nice to have you back on my channel here on YouTube. This is Joseph Cappuccino of Sashes&Scripts, and in this episode we will be talking about the Binibining Pilipinas and Miss Universe Philippines 2024 pageants. Before we begin our episode, please hit the like button and support our channel by subscribing and giving a like button on this episode so that more people will be able to look us up here on YouTube. So our discussion for this episode centers mainly around on two of the biggest national pageants in existence. We have Binibining Pilipinas, who is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year, and the 5th year of the Miss Universe pageant. Ever since that they acquired the franchise away from Binibining Pilipinas. Now, in a very surprising move, Binibining Pilipinas this year have scheduled their finals quite far from the traditional schedules of the national pageants during the months of April and May. Traditionally, the Binibining Pilipinas pageant would happen at around March, April, or May of every year. However, this year, there was a huge departure with their schedules, as they are now tentatively or allegedly going to schedule their national finals at the 7th of July, which is a little bit closer towards the traditional international pageant season. Miss Universe Philippines, however, is sticking to its traditional May schedule, with its finals announced to be happening on May 22nd of this year. Now, in terms of the finals, there's more opportunity for Binibining Pilipinas to go all out with their pre-pageant activities because their schedule for their finals is still quite far off. As most activities is paid by themselves, so they can move around their schedules and be more flexible in that matter, because of course they own the Araneta Coliseum, and therefore their schedules are a little bit more fluid as compared to that of Miss Universe Philippines. Now, Miss Universe Philippines has to crown their winner as soon as possible to allow enough training and allow enough preparations for the international competition for Miss Universe. Miss Universe in 2024 is tentatively scheduled at November of this year, which means that whoever is being crowned for Miss Universe Philippines, they need to start working on their campaigns for the international competition, as well as face their duties and responsibilities to their sponsors, to their partners, while they're still here in the Philippines. So this allows more or less around 3 months, 4 months of training and preparation before our representative for Miss Universe before she flies off to the competition in Mexico. However, this is in contrast with Miss International, where our current representative has already been selected last year. Angelica Lopez is going to compete at Miss International, tentatively scheduled on November as well. And the winner for Binibining Pilipinas International this year is more likely going to compete at a latter date in 2025. So there is much, preparations that can be held, especially with the UNSDG requirement of Miss International among its delegates. Now, having said that, Binibining Pilipinas has the luxury of time in the selection of winner in a later schedule because of this arrangement. Now, when it comes to the finances of both organizations, Binibining Pilipinas is secure having their own venue. So this means that if in case that they need to move the finals, their finals a little bit earlier or a little bit later, they have the luxury to do so, because the Araneta Coliseum, where their finals is always held at, is the property and owned and managed by the Araneta Group of companies. This is not the case with MUPH, where they needed to make sure that their schedules are aligned with the MOA Arena, where the pageant is traditionally being held. MUPH allegedly has to find more sponsors, as franchise fees this year has allegedly ballooned up to around $400,000, which translate to approximately around 23 million pesos. So which means that, or rather, this explains why Miss Universe Philippines have more sponsor-related activities this year, and therefore candidates and their associate partners are to invest heavily financially on the franchise and the pageant campaigns for the girls, because they have to make sure that the pictorials and the video shoots are carried out as per requirement by the organization and their sponsors. This allows, the individual candidates to really stand out and showcase their individuality because they are the ones who have creative control with how their campaigns are being rolled. However, this also poses a sort of a disadvantage for candidates whose APs are not as financially well off and therefore needs to invest more heavily in terms of the resources that is needed to build up their campaigns. Binibining Pilipinas, on the other hand, continues to have a dedicated team that does all the released glam shots and portraits of the candidates to have a more uniform look. These people, this team that does the glam shot portraits and the video shoots are all paid for by the organization, and therefore the candidates don't have to shell out money in terms of their campaigns because this is a area where the organization spends on their candidates. So this also means that because it's all controlled by the organization, there is an equal, there's an equal playing field for the candidates because they are all glammed up equally in terms of their looks, in terms of how the photographs are taken, and therefore there is less financial investment from the candidates in terms of their pageant campaigns. Now, in terms of candidates, since we've already been talking about the candidates themselves, NUPH is a little bit more exciting simply because of their established faces. There are a lot of candidates who are pretty much known to the public, known to the pageant fandoms, because at least a majority of the more popular girls are alums of other national pageants. There are a lot actually of candidates this year that have Binibining Pilipinas under their belt, having participated or even won crowns at Binibining Pilipinas. So we have names like Atisa Manalo, Stacey Gabriel, Christy Fanny Hanson, and Christy Matgari, who have at one point become served as reigning queens for Binibining Pilipinas in around the last 10 years. There are also candidates like Alexandra Ambrosio Rosales and Selena Reyes, Antonio Reyes rather, who have been candidates in Binibining Pilipinas as well. So in terms of popularity-wise, these girls have an upper hand simply because they already have a pageant experience at the national level and are crossing over from one pageant system to another. We also have a returnee with Victoria Velasquez Vincent, which she has already a established base of followers as well, having been a runner-up several years back. Then we also have new girls or new faces. A handful of them, a handful of the popular Miss Universe Philippines girls that are new faces, comprise of Alexi Brooks, Tara Valencia, and Kayla Jean. I forgot the last name of Kayla Jean, and then we also have Christina Chalk. So these are relatively new faces in the competition, but they are also slowly amassing followers in their pageant campaigns. Binibining Pilipinas, on the other hand, is a breeding ground, it seems, for new faces, and this brings a different kind of excitement to this batch because there's a lot of new faces with potential, with international pageant potential that can be looked at. We have a number of girls who are new to most people's eyes, but they are actually, some of them are actually pageant veterans, but on the local or provincial or even the regional levels. And because majority of the candidates in Binibining Pilipinas are new faces, they are not yet as overbaked or as overtrained as the girls in Miss Universe Philippines. And I think there is a disparity in terms of the looks that are being seen, the looks of the girls that are being seen at Miss Universe Philippines versus Binibining Pilipinas, simply because of the international competitions that they are going to participate in. I think with Miss Universe Philippines, you really need to have a very competitive, a very strong, competitive individual to be able to compete with the rest of the girls all over the world, which is in contrast with Miss International, where sincerity and authenticity and good manners seems to be the core of the competition, and this is something that is owed to the fact that Miss International takes into consideration the attitudes of the girls while they are in the competition, and they also look at the girls in terms of how they present themselves and carry themselves outside of the scored parts of the preliminaries or preliminary interviews and judging competition. So there is a vast difference between what Miss International is looking for and what is Miss Universe looking for, and therefore that explains why Miss Universe Philippines and Binibining Pilipinas are very different in terms of their set of candidates this year. Now, with regards to the common questions that I usually get and I usually hear from pageant fans, if whether or not Binibining Pilipinas is or has plans of acquiring the Miss Universe Philippines franchise back. From my knowledge, I don't believe that that the Binibining Pilipinas has plans to reacquire as of the moment. I've heard from other insiders that there was a move before, but currently the heads of the organization allegedly have said that if the Miss Universe organization wants to partner back with Binibining Pilipinas, then it's their prerogative. However, Binibining Pilipinas would not chase for that franchise anymore because they are more focused instead of enriching the national pageant and enriching, the experience of the candidates and the winners that they have. And this is also the reason why I believe that since last year, the Binibining Pilipinas prizes have increased. They usually in the past the winners would have at around 120,000 pesos worth of contracts from the BPCI, but this year that has increased to 500,000 pesos. So that means that Binibining Pilipinas is more concerned with making sure that the reigns of their queens and the candidates' experience with Binibining Pilipinas is one that they can cherish throughout their lifetime. Okay, and in terms of Miss Universe Philippines, I think that they are doing their best in terms of keeping the organization afloat financially, because it's not a joke anymore when it comes to the franchise fees, because every year the people who are managing the organization are increasing their financial requirements for the bidding wars that they have instituted since last year. So I believe that in terms of business opportunities, Miss Universe or Philippines organization needs to be more aggressive on that front. So I think in terms of the organizations and how the pageant or the pageant franchises are being handled, these two organizations are veering away from each other in terms of how they manage their organization in a competitive way. I think the organizations have different focuses at this point in time, and therefore different focuses means different pageant experience for the girls, and therefore it also makes sense that the way that the girls are competing against each other are vastly different from pageant system to pageant system. In summary, I think the way that the organizations manage their pageants is an effective way for them to be able to make sure that their pageants stay competitive and stay afloat with the ever-changing landscape of pageantry nowadays. I believe that Miss Universe Philippines is doing what it can in terms of keeping the organization afloat, because they need to be more competitive financially wise, because the system of Miss Universe in terms of their franchise fee management is a competitive one, and therefore anyone can take over the franchise from different countries as long as they are able to outbid the current organization. So it means that they really need to be very smart and very financially capable to meet with the requirements of the organization. On the other hand, with Binibining Pilipinas, because it has a tradition that it is upholding up until this point in time, they have 60 years of history and tradition that they are continuing in their pageant. I believe that the way that they manage their pageant is vastly different from how Miss Universe Philippines is doing theirs. So it also explains why when it comes to changes, the Binibining Pilipinas organization is a little bit more mindful and a little bit more slow in terms of making changes because progress for progress sake is not necessarily good for the organization. So they need to be more mindful and be more retrospective if these changes are appropriate for the Binibining Pilipinas brand. Now, overall, I think that the pageant systems are doing well in their competitions, respective competition. I hope that moving forward, Miss Universe Philippines would always crown their winners in May, and Binibining Pilipinas would always crown their title holders in the month of July, so that there is less competition in terms of how the fandom are split in terms of their attention and as well as their support for the respective girls competing in their editions or in these pageants. So thank you very much for listening to our episode, and I do hope again that you like and you subscribe to our channel so that we can grow the channel together. See you again in our next live stream, and take care. Bye everyone!